Okay, so what we're going to start by doing is just warming up and stretching the pec at the same time. So we're going to be standing for this one. You're going to have the arms out wide like this, and you get these small circles, but you're trying to actively press them back. So they're out straight. It's not like you're doing them here and it's just like more of a weight thing. They're back as far as you can go, and then you start the circles. Okay, they're just small little pulses. We're going to go kind of 10, 15 seconds one way. Start to gradually get the circles a bit slower and a bit bigger. Good. Perfect. And we're going to stop and we're going to swap the direction. So it's going to hit slightly lower down. If you're going this way, it's going to hit obviously slightly higher up in the stretch. Perfect. What was that, sorry?
Feel it in the shoulder blades.
Yeah, feel it in the shoulder blades, contracting back. That's exactly what you want to feel. So it's slightly working those muscles, slightly stretching the pecs. What we're then going to do is interlock our fingers behind our back, and we're going to go into this position. So we're going to try and get a bit of a hamstring stretch and let the arms stretch back at the same time. So you're trying to pull, I'll do it from here, trying to pull your shoulders together and let the arms travel up. Also create some tension down in the hamstrings too. And then you can just let it fold as far as you can. Good, I'm really trying to keep this. It doesn't matter, even if it's literally just off your back, that's a fine starting point. Obviously, you'll be able to go further than me as well. But this is what we're looking for. Good work, guys. Okay, come back up for a second. Let the blood flow return to your head. And then we're going to go again. Get that stretch. So try and maintain that position while you're up, just keeping the fingers locked. Don't hold them away, just actually have them here, but trying to open up the chest. And then we're going to go down again. Again, getting that hamstring stretch first of all, letting it fold. It's like an active push away that you're doing. Again, you might feel it a bit in the shoulder blades like I'm feeling now. Push it a little bit further, and then let's come back up to standing again. Okay, we're then going to go into a kneeling position on the floor. Are you guys okay to kneel out there?
Yeah.
Okay. Again, we're going to start interlocking the fingers behind our back, but this time we're just really kind of resting and we're not trying to actively push them away. Then what we're going to do from this position is just drop our head to one side, get stretched down the trap muscle. So again, sticking the chest out. Good. Good go. Just 10 seconds. Swap across to the other side. Do you guys cycle?
Yeah.
Sometimes. Not as excitedly as Jack and the rest do.
No, me neither. But yeah, this is really good. If you're doing cycling, like I'm noticing, like just coming back from a bike ride, how stiff I am in these areas, especially in the neck, the upper traps. Again, if you're sat at a desk too, it's going to be massive. Or even just in front of the TV.
One you've got to be careful of when you're on the bike is if your hands start to tingle. Means you've
Yeah,
got to check
100%.
the angle of what you're sitting at.
Yeah, angle. Some people just grip the handlebars way too tight as well, and that can cause it.
Yeah.
Especially going downhill. You're terrified going downhill.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of going downhill at speed either.
To be honest, I don't like going up either.
No, that's very true. Just nice flat roads. I'll do. Okay, relax it back down from there. What we're going to do now is try and increase the stretch. So what it's going to look like behind our body is that's going to be what we're going to try and achieve is gripping our elbows. I can only get to about here, but it's going to look something like this behind there. And then you're trying to interlock your elbows. And what this is going to do is really force your shoulders back. Does that make sense? So one arm here, one arm here. Try and interlock them. You're going to try and just open up the chest without lifting up like that. So it's here. So it's getting a really nice stretch across the chest and across the back. You guys feeling that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't get my arms crossed, but
No, I'm fairly close. I'm getting to about, just so you guys can see, about there.
yeah, that's a lot better than mine. Caroline's is mostly all the way.
Yeah, so we're going to build into this. So one of the main reasons it stops is thoracic extension. So if you're very stuck through your mid-back, if you're rounded like this, it's going to be really hard to get the arms back. Whereas if you can extend through that portion of the spine, yeah, it's going to improve. So we're going to go from there, and now we're going to drop down into, we've done this one before, but this is the thoracic extension, which I just feel is so important, into the stretch here. And again, you're trying to feel this through the mid-back and the lat muscles, so the side muscles here and in between the shoulder blades. You don't want to feel it in the lower back of your neck. So head relax down and just try, what I really like to do is just grip my fingers forward to increase it. And again, you can play around with your position. If you've got to come further forward like this to get the stretch, it's absolutely fine. If you can get like quite high in 90 degrees, that's fine too. But even if you come into like here, like, you know what, that's a better stretch, then that's absolutely fine to do as well. Then we're going to slightly walk it across to that left-hand side, increasing the stretch down the right lat. Again, remembering to breathe, which is so important, especially when we're doing these stretches around the thoracic spine and the rib cage. You can actually use the breath to increase. So as you breathe in, you should feel a bit more of a stretch. And as you breathe out, you can sink deeper into it. Okay, back to the middle. Good, and then across to the side. So we're going across the right-hand side. Again, you're really trying to reach with that left arm when you're going to the right side. It's not too important what the right arm's doing. Even if you just want to kind of rest it down, that's fine. Breathe into it. Nice one, guys. Okay, from this position here, we're now going to thread the arm through, particularly the right arm, but we're going to hold these ones a little bit longer. So it's not going to be an active stretch. We're going to just try and get a bit of release on the deltoid. So we're going to thread it through. Arm goes out in front. So similar position. So you can always start in this position, getting that thoracic extension, and then just put the arm through. Let the body kind of drop. And just hold this from here, and you should feel a nice stretch for your mid-back. The shoulder too. If it starts to hurt or pinch in the shoulder, just play around with your position until it doesn't. You guys both got the stretch there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic. Good, and then walk it back to the middle. Let's go through the other side. You can as well, depending on what you've got, rest your head on the floor. That's an option too, like I'm doing now. If you're feeling a bit lazy, a bit worn out after the exercise, fine to do as well. Just try and keep a bit of pressure on the other hand, so you're not putting any kind of force through the head. It's just literally resting. Good, back to the middle, back to the right side. Back to the middle, back to the left side. Okay, a few more seconds on this one here. Good. And then we're going to come back to all fours, okay? We're going to combine this exercise now. So we're going to go from this position here. We're going to thread through, drop down, and then come up into a rotation. Okay, now this is going to be the active version of that stretch, reinforcing that range of motion. Good. We're going to go for another 4 reps. And last one. Good. And then across to the other side. Now, it's really normal to have one stiffer side than the other. And what I suggest is on that stiffer side, just go a little bit slower, a little bit more thoughtful, both ends of the stretch.
Hit you.
Guys, another 4. You hitting each other.
Yeah.
Some of them are accidental.
I was gonna say.
We did synchronise.
You don't have much choice.
And relax there. Okay, what we're going to do then is come into basically that lizard pose from last time. So what we've done here is we actively work the neck, the pecs, and the mid back. We're going to move on to the lower back and the hips now. So we're going to go into a plank position, leg to the outside, scoot back a bit so you can see. And then we're going to drop down into it. So just hold it here for a second. Oh my God, I'm so tired after this bike ride. It's ridiculous. And holding here, good time to do some stretching. And then if you can, you're going to go to the outside. I can't even do that today. But you're going to go into the outside elbow first of all. And if you're really feeling flexible, you can drop that inside elbow down too.
I don't think I can get that down.
Nope.
Just going to say, for anyone doubting my ability in the previous video, if you're watching this on playback and you can see me doing it.
I don't believe we're going anywhere.
And just breathe into it. We're going to be doing this a couple of times on each side, okay? So don't worry if you can't get down deep into the stretch to begin with. Again, if you really want to up the level, engage this back leg, get a little bit more muscle activation. Like mine, I think I cooled down for a bit too long. I'm starting to stiffen up, so just activate the muscle a bit, drop it down. There we go, down into the stretch.
I'm trying to get the wrong elbow down.
Are you trying to get? To be fair, you can do that too. You can. It's actually a better stretch if you just drop the inside one. You're keeping a more neutral pelvis. What I'm doing is when I drop the outside one, I'm slightly rotating. So that's increasing the stretch. It's technically slightly cheating. Ideally, you do want to get that elbow down, but if you can't, it's just again, it's a progression to get to that end stage. But ideally, you should really be here, or that elbow down, or both elbows down.
Yeah.
Cool, and let's swap sides. So back into a plank. Opposite leg comes forward. And then we drop down here. Okay, we're going to open up into those hip flexors as well. So getting a bit of a stretch in the opposite leg there. Good work, guys. Just breathing into it too. And if you can, activate the other leg. So back leg comes off the floor, still trying to drop in between the hips down to the ground. Good, and then just from increasing the stretch, when you come back, you may find you just got that little bit of mobility. God, that was a push to drop into the elbow on the floor. If not, come back to here. And again, if you can really do it, this elbow nearest the knee drops to the floor as well. Okay, amazing. Now, what we're going to do from here is drop back to a plank, slightly different this time. So where we're putting the knee on the outside, it's now going to come inside, okay? So we're going into this position here. So you can step it through, walk it through. And again, I know I'm teaching you guys this, you've already done it. It's just for anyone watching it on the recording. We're going to work on our hip flexors now. Such an important muscle, which is why I stretch it almost every time. If you sit for a long time, I mean, there's virtually, well, very few people I see who have adequate hip flexor length. So we're going to drop into the stretch here. What you imagine is if you've got a tail, if you kind of stick it out or you tuck it under, we're going for that tuck under first of all. And when you tuck in it, you start to drop that back hip forward. So for me, it's the left one. How are you guys finding this stretch after a few weeks of doing it now?
It's really good, yeah. It's good to stretch more.
Definitely a lot more comfortable.
Good. And then what we're going to do to increase it is take the arms up above the head or rest them, interlock them behind the ears. That's it. And what this does is as we lift the arms up, it just wants to force our spine into that extension, so sticking the tail out. And what we're going to do is just counteract it, so keeping that tucked under. So even if your arms look like they're a bit forward, that's going to give you a better stretch than just going like this, okay? So you're trying to keep that position, engage the core, arms come out. This is really good as well if you're struggling with Olympic lifts, or you do find you excessively back bend, excessively let your arms go back in Olympic lifts or overhead work. This will really build that overhead mobility. And just breathing into it. I'd probably say this one, they're all important to breathe into, but this one especially, you can really breathe deeper into the stretch and the out breath. Okay, and again, if it's getting tired, just interlock the fingers, bring it to here. Okay, we're just going to work this one in the one plane of motion today. But again, we're going to go a little bit longer. So we're going to do 2-3 times on each side, really getting deep into those hip flexors. So find that position. It is really worth taking some time at the beginning, just feeling that stretch, getting everything lined up nicely. You should feel it slightly lower part of abdomen, upper part of the hip if you're getting it right, maybe even slightly down into the knee if you've got tight quads. Then arms go up. So from the front view, we also want to keep really good alignment. So always hip square. Let's get dead in line. Hip square to it. Knee does not go either side of the foot. Go straight over the toes. And you also don't want from the side angle your knee traveling too far forward as well. It's like this with the right angles. Everything squared off. And then the arms can go up. And again, that's so important to stress when you're stretching, is trying to keep good form. A lot of people I see try and go like, oh, look how far I can get my hip flexed to the ground, and doing all this kind of stuff, flexibility. Again, if you're looking for performance, especially in keeping your posture good, you want to work it in a correct plane of motion. Are you guys doing a quiz tonight?
It's Wednesday, isn't it?
It's Wednesdays.
Wednesday night.
Wednesday. I swear he said he was doing a quiz at 8 o'clock.
Maybe it's with different people.
Yeah.
Okay.
It might be us.
Fair enough. To be fair, he didn't ask us, did he, if we were joining, so probably
Dan needs to have a social life.
Oh, I forgot what one of those is. Good. Again, if those arms get tired, interlock. Just don't let that back arch. Okay, keep that stretch on. Keep that hip driving forward. Good work. Let's bring it back to the other side now. And take your time. Get the position lined up. You should find the second time through feels a lot more comfortable than the first. And this is where we can really take it into a deeper stretch. Again, it's optional, guys. If you want to do your arms up, you're welcome to. Mine just knackered. Good work. Amazing. Okay, we're just going to go 10 more seconds on this last stretch. So really try and drop into it with an in-breath and out-breath. Good. 2 and 1. Let's swap over one last time. Again, everything lined up level. There we go. Obviously, the other thing as well is you can increase this stretch purely from your arms. So the more you try and lock out your arms, the more it's going to try and force you into extension. So again, if you really want to improve performance, just slowly keep that pressure, that hip pushing forward, and then try and lock out your arms. And you're going to feel it in your mid-back as well to a degree. And that is really going to start building overhead lifts, snatch, overhead press, overhead squat. And again, if you're working with different grips, you can do it wider, you can do it narrower, completely down to where's comfortable for you, where's going to be functional for your performance. 10 seconds, guys. Again, really sink into it for these last 10. And last one there. Okay. I'm going to go quads again. I'm working with you two on the progression of this one. We're going to see how far we can push it today. Keeping over the quads. You're going to then let your body lean back. And just see how far back you can get today. So you want your quads roughly shoulder width apart. Your legs the same. So your legs aren't in like this. They're not out like that. They're same width. So when you're leaning back, you're directly over your heels. What you're also going to get here, unintentionally, is a stretch through this motion of the ankle too. So if you feel this mainly your ankles, it's fine. It just means your ankles are a little bit stiff. You're going to get some mobility there as well. So when you're ready, guys, drop it back. And let's see how far down we can go. And the goal is to let your back just sit right back to the floor. How close is Caroline getting to that? Oh, lost you guys. And back up. Oh, God. It's a tough one, isn't it?
It's having confidence to do it going all that way as well.
It is complete confidence. But again, it's like anything. If you've only done it 2-3 times before, it's sensible keeping it in a safe range and then when you can do it. But I mean, it's actually, it almost turns into a quad like strengthening exercise because you can kind of pulse from here. You can go back. And back up again. You can build some tendon and quad strength for this too. I wouldn't say it's the best exercise for doing it, but you can use it for that as well. So let's get back into it. Let's go one more time to see if we can stretch a little bit further. Again, using the arms for support. You can, like I've got now, I've got a really nice chest stretch here too. I guess the next way to kind of go down from this is maybe to drop it down to the elbows. Haven't got there yet, so I'll let you know when I can. But the other thing is not to let the head just kind of snap back, okay? Just try and keep a little bit of tension. So keeping those quads in line till I was letting mine sneak out there. The other thing here you can do is if you kind of give a little pelvic kind of push forward, if you drive your hips forward, it will increase the stretch in your quads. But again, make sure it's in the bulk of the muscle and not in the joints. Okay, that's me done on that one, guys. So if you want to come back up, good to know. Okay, last thing we're going to do is just a little kind of mobility for our ankles because they can get stiff as well. So we're going to start with a stretch and then end with some ankle rolls. So we're going to go to a wall. Don't really have a wall that you guys can see, but just from here, you're going to press in. And then from here, you're going to try and keep your back straight and just press that back heel right down to the ground. Again, play around with the angle. What I like to do is really drive in low. So getting down to this kind of angle and then drive down with that back foot. I just find it, sorry, I know I demonstrated it here, but I find the lower you get, the more you step it back, the better that's going to be. So I'm going to do it with you right by the camera here. Start on the left side and just drive it down. Then what I also like to do is push against the wall, back into that back heel. And you want to find a point where your heel is almost on the floor when you're pushing. You don't want it completely flat. You want to have a bit of an area to work towards. Awesome. Good. Let's swap sides. Again, driving that back foot down. So again, a lot of what we're doing with this mobility when it's posture is we're not just thinking, I know it's a calf stretch, but if you try and keep your back really nice and straight as you're doing this, almost like going to a rugby scrum, And then you push your arms forward, you're also going to get, again, a bit of upper body mobility, upper body movement. So you can double up on these completely. You can just let that kind of in between the shoulder blades drop like we worked on earlier. You got 2 stretches for 1. Especially if you've got like a bar you can grip on, it just makes this exercise so much better. Good. Okay. Now we're just going to do some really kind of basic ankle mobility drills. What I really like to do is just spelling out your name. So with your ankle in front, I'm just going to spell name capitals. Typically you get very kind of stiff as you're doing that. And then we're going to swap sides, same with the others, and then we're going to end with our surnames. Bit of a brain tease doing this one. It's not quite as coordinated. Sorry, Caroline, you got a much bigger job here.
Sorry.
Good job. Wait for you to finish that one, Caroline, and then we'll
Sorry.
we'll go for the other side. Okay, so then surname here. So one thing I should say is you're not trying to move your leg as you do this. It's not this type of thing. You're trying to keep your leg almost locked, and then you're trying to, as much as possible, keeping the ankle. I know you can have a bit of movement just from balance, but just keeping it as still as possible. So you can do this seated as well. It's a really nice way of doing it, so you're stable.
Is this surname short?
Well, it could just be do mine instead. That's a lot easier.
What? Oh, your whole name.
Yeah, well, you've been let off here, haven't you? And then swap to the other side. Oh, that was a good one. And cool. Well done. All right, then. So you can see with the posture ones, again, you should feel like you're standing up straighter. You should feel maybe a little bit of a burning, or like that mid back's being stretched. That's what I'm feeling right now. It just feels very comfortable and light when you're standing up. Shoulders naturally pin back. It's just really good to do this type of stretching every once in a while. Again, it's challenging a slightly different form.
Yeah.
Now, since you two are the main people who joined
We've
us,
been to most of them, I think.
I think you mean to all of them, actually. So,
Yeah.
is there anything you guys would like to focus on next time? Is there anything you really like? Do you like more dynamic stretches? Do you like more static stretches? Do you like it when you use like the foam roller, lacrosse ball, other equipment?
Maybe like the foam roller another time or something. Using the foam roller and the ball or something. Not done that for a little while. Yeah.
Yeah, more of my experience is in the foam roller and the ball and using all those other tools. Like I very rarely stretch like this. I mainly focus on muscles. I just think it's sometimes a little bit hard demonstrating it from a camera. They're better live. So yeah, we'll do that next time. So next week on Wednesday will be Sophie. The week after that on Tuesday will be me again. And we'll get the lacrosse ball if I remember. Just drop a comment on it otherwise if I put something else. We'll get lacrosse ball, foam rollers, and if you've got a broomstick, that'll be the equipment that we need.
The fly.
Excellent. Well, have a good evening, guys. Enjoy your dinner.
Yeah.
And thank you again for joining.
Bye.
Bye.